You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Well, today was an interesting day, to say the least. We have what appears to be a group of quote-unquote artists who took a bunch of men and of a particular race, and they made them wear dog collars and leashes and had them walk down the streets, the Hollywood Boulevard Walk of Fame, in some type of a statement about Donald Trump. Now, what that statement is, I really can't tell you. I don't believe, in my opinion, that they accomplished anything other than showing what type of horrible human beings they all were. And for the men who participated, what type of self-loathing that they must have for themselves in order to participate in a stunt such as this. Well, we're going to take a look at this story, but first, a word from our sponsor. Did you know installing the Facebook app on your Android and iOS smartphones automatically gives them the rightful consent to collect the history of your precise location? If you're not aware, there's a setting called Location History in your Facebook app that comes enabled by default. And here's how you can prevent Facebook from tracking your location when the app is not in use. Open the Facebook app on your smartphone, go to the Settings menu on the top right corner, tap on Settings and Privacy, choose Privacy Shortcuts, select Manage Your Location, and now toggle the background location to off. How concerning is that? To use a friendly social media app in 2019, we have to worry about them collecting background location information. Remember, protecting yourself online goes beyond using your GPS location. Apps can still track where you are and what you do online using your IP address and browsing history. To protect yourself from these threats and attacks on your privacy, use Virtual Shield VPN. This month, Virtual Shield is offering a spring special of 30% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons, including Protection Plus, residential access, monthly maintenance, phone support, and VIP performance plans for as low as $3 per month. And don't forget about IdentiSafe, which allows the customer the ability to block off computer microphone and camera access from any unwanted spies and hackers. For anyone that's paranoid about the government watching or listening to every move they make via computer, IdentiSafe is for them. Remember, Virtual Shield is one of the easiest VPNs to use in the world. It's also one of the fastest. Their no-log policy protects its users from any data breaches. So go to virtualshield.com/redpill78 and sign up for your free month along with 35% off at this exclusive link. All right, everyone. So artists are explaining why they put white men in MAGA hats on leashes and walked them on Donald Trump's star in Hollywood. Well, these leftist activists put Make America Great Again hats on some severely self-loathing white men and paraded them through Hollywood on leashes as some sort of bizarre performance art. Now, as reported earlier, this took place at Donald Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. According to a press release from the activist group In Decline, over 24 men and women of color and members of the LGBT community placed leashes and custom-made dog collars on white men in red MAGA hats and walked them on all fours up and down Hollywood Boulevard on Sunday. These people must all hate themselves for being who they are, and that is the saddest thing that I can possibly imagine. The group said that their performance was based on Cardi B's recent Twitter battle with Tomi Lahren, in which the crass rapper told the right-wing pundit, "Leave me alone or I'll dog walk you." The project, entitled Hate Breed, speaks to race relations in America, specifically the patience exhibited by those most affected by racism and bigotry, and their willingness, despite having the greatest right to anger, to walk their attackers down a path to empathy, the press release states. The men wore dog collars with tags that each had the name of a racist white man. Hollywood Boulevard is a popular destination for tourists and families whom the artists clearly did not consider when staging their inappropriate stunt. This art comes at a time when assaults on Trump supporters appears to be on the rise. Wow. Indoctrinating that little kid. Last month, a Massachusetts woman was charged with assault and battery after hitting a Make America Great Again hat off a stranger's head in a Mexican restaurant. Later in the month, a Turning Point USA activist was attacked by a deranged leftist at UC Berkeley. Earlier that week, conservative activist Scott Pressler reported that he was hit with projectiles and had gay slurs shouted at him while holding a pro-Trump sign and advocating for the president's policies. That same morning, a woman locked her Twitter account after posting a video of herself harassing an elderly man in a thrift store over his Make America Great Again hat. A couple also pulled a pistol on them while they were shopping. A couple also had a gun pulled on them while shopping at Sam's Club because they were wearing MAGA hats. None of these incidents have received mainstream media coverage. But you take a bunch of people, you humiliate them, and you put them in MAGA hats, and you walk them down the street with dog leashes, and it gets front page news everywhere. These people are sick, all right? That's the only thing that comes to mind. These people are sick. For someone to think to do this, to put the thought, the preparation, the planning into this, they've got a real twisted mind, okay? This is what they'd rather be doing. Rather than bettering themselves, rather than looking to see what they can do in a positive way, all they can think to do is look outside of themselves and choose a group of people that they can blame for all of their problems. A group that they can universally lay the entire set of evils at the feet of, leaving themselves totally blameless. We know that these people would rather blame anyone but themselves. Any of their problems, any of their issues have nothing to do with them. They have to have a group that they can lay the blame at their feet solely and label with a bunch of isms. All right, next, we have a little clip from Lou Dobbs that our president has released. Let's go ahead and take a listen. Tom Fitton is a guest.
Nadler admitted he had nothing to go on. I mean, to say you have no facts or evidence of a crime warranting impeachment and then to launch an investigation anyway is the exact reverse order, the way the reverse order our system is supposed to work. It's a remarkable abuse of power.
Wait a minute, are you saying that the witch hunt had it in reverse order? I mean, it's just been a search for a crime. They're following the lead of Robert Mueller. And the radical damn corruption of both the FBI and the Department of Justice.
It's rare you get an admission that they're doing it.
And remember, Mueller was authorized to investigate any crime he came across in the process of investigating whatever the heck it was he was authorized to investigate to begin with, which included obstruction of justice and this whole collusion mess, which they made up. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't anything he couldn't have prosecuted if he found evidence of it. So there is no evidence of anything. The entire
Jerry Nadler has stipulated that.
Process.
Jerry Nadler stipulated that. Congress must provide a check on abuses of power. Equally, we must protect and respect the work of Special Counsel Mueller, but we cannot rely on others to do the investigative work for us. Have you ever seen a more... What's your thought about that, Tom?
Well, it shows you that Mueller's come up dry, and it's not just 2 years, it's 3 years, because the DOJ and the FBI began and harassed...
I was talking about the special counsel investigation.
Right, but the investigation generally has been going on for at least 3 years. They've been unable to do anything, and so now one of the worst aspects of what we learned this week is the confirmation that Congress or the House Democrats are going to seek to abuse the law to get the president's private tax returns. So not only will they be abusing these individual citizens using the power of Congress, they're going to try to bring in the IRS to abuse President Trump as well.
Imagine that. The rich and powerful politicians in America using their power to withdraw the rights of other citizens like President Trump, or us for that matter. Well, Donald Trump goes on to tweet, "The American media has changed forever. News organizations that seemed like a big deal are now extinct. Those that remain have now degraded themselves beyond recognition, like The New Yorker, or they've been purchased by Jeff Bezos to conduct unregistered lobbying for Amazon, like The Washington Post. It's hard to remember that not so long ago, America had prestige media outlets, but not anymore." This is a quote from Tucker Carlson, and Donald Trump says, "The fake news media is the true enemy of the people." Well, on that note, NBC News has decided to write an article about our little book. On Amazon, a QAnon conspiracy book climbs the charts with an algorithmic push. Are they suggesting that we somehow faked this rise in popularity for this book? The book is currently number 9 in all books about politics and number 1 in all books about consensorship, one slot ahead of Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. By Ben Collins. A book that pushes the conspiracy theory QAnon climbed within the top 75 of all books sold on Amazon in recent days, pushed by Amazon's algorithmically generated recommendations page. QAnon, An Invitation to the Great Awakening, which has no stated author, ranked at number 56 at press time, was featured in the algorithmically generated Hot New Releases section on Amazon Books' landing page. The book claims, without evidence, a variety of outlandish claims, including that prominent Democrats murder and eat children, and that the U.S. government created both AIDS and the movie Monsters, Inc. It's a new one to me. The QAnon conspiracy theory moved from fringe parts of the internet in 2018 to achieve national prominence thanks to supporters of President Donald Trump, who wore clothes and held signs referencing Q at political rallies. The conspiracy theory's rise was followed by a variety of QAnon-related money-making schemes that included merchandise for sale that could also be found on Amazon. Adherents of the QAnon conspiracy theory falsely believe that the world is run by a satanic cabal helmed by former presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, and that President Donald Trump and Special Counsel Robert Mueller are secretly working in tandem to eliminate the cabal. Well, they are. Maybe they're listening to my show. The book, An Invitation to the Great Awakening, is currently at number 9 in all books about politics, and number 1 in all books about censorship. One slot ahead of Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, and immediately followed by classics Lord of the Flies and The Handmaid's Tale and Of Mice and Men. The paperback, which cost $17 at press time, this is hilarious. We didn't price it at $17. Amazon did an automatic price drop because so many people were buying it. It just happens to be $17. Features outlandish claims, sometimes written in rapid succession and with no evidence. On one page, the book baselessly claims that the United States government created AIDS, polio, Lyme disease, some natural disasters, 2 Indiana Jones movies, and the Pixar movie Monsters, Inc. Amazon declined to answer questions about the book's placement in the algorithmic recommendations carousels, including about whether the book might have been recommended to users on other sections of the site. At several points last weekend, the book was a spot behind Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham on the top 100. The book posits that Monsters, Inc. shows off a government plan to collect children's blood that gives government figures some form of high or youthful looks. Conspiracy theory researcher Mike Rothschild told NBC News that An Invitation to the Great Awakening is a new way for those pushing the QAnon conspiracy theory to make cash, since recent changes to YouTube's algorithm have made it harder for conspiracy theorists to find new followers and cash in on true believers. They absolutely exploited flaws in Amazon's algorithms, Mike Rothschild said. They also know that QAnon has a small but devoted fan base that is willing to spend money, so it gets a huge spike of sales just as it's released. It'll shoot up Amazon's lists and get in front of more people, even if those initial sales make up the bulk of who pays for it. Rothschild called the book a bold new step in the endless grift at the heart of Q. The book currently averages 5 stars on Amazon, as conspiracy theorists on YouTube and Twitter have told their fans to buy the book and leave reviews. While Amazon hosts a wide variety of books that trade in conspiracy theories and extremist views, the company faces a challenge in preventing groups from gaming its recommendation algorithm. Jason Clint, CEO of the trade association Digital Content Next, said the lack of oversight on Amazon's recommendation algorithms, along with manipulation campaigns from conspiracy theorists, could create a dangerous cocktail for an average consumer looking for a new book to read on Amazon. To be clear, they absolutely shouldn't be censoring the availability of books like this, Clint said, but the fact that we're left only with the publisher's own description of the book and a clearly gamed set of 5-star reviews, how is the average shopper supposed to know this is toxic garbage? Because we tell them. The internet has been a hotbed for conspiracy theories since its earliest days, but QAnon has become the focus of growing concern due to instances of violence from some of its believers. Earlier this year, Bucky Wolf, who frequently posted to QAnon forums about using swords to defeat the Illuminati, was accused of murdering his brother with the sword, believing his brother was a lizard person. Last month, federal prosecutors charged Ryan Jazalekis, 22, with attempting to burn down a particular pizzeria where believers in QAnon and its precursor conspiracy, P-Gate, falsely posit that Clinton was hiding a global child trafficking ring. 1 hour before the attempted arson, a QAnon explainer video, originally posted by YouTube conspiracy theorist Joe M., was posted to the YouTube page of Jazalekis' parents. Joe M., who has more than 127,000 YouTube subscribers and tens of millions of video views, claims to have contributed to An Invitation to the Great Awakening. Several other anonymous YouTube and Twitter conspiracy theorists who have pushed QAnon in the past have claimed credit for writing chapters of the book. A Reddit user named Captain Roy D., who was suspended from the pro-Trump Reddit forum The Donald, was aggressively pushing the QAnon conspiracy theory, claims to have written a chapter. Patriot Soapbox, a YouTube channel created by a 4chan moderator who helped launch QAnon to prominence, also claims to have written a chapter. Ben Collins is a dangerous shill. So you can see how badly they are freaking out. Oh my God, we don't want to censor books, but we have to censor the algorithm. We can't allow these things to get up there. Oh my gosh, people are buying this book. Oh, my head's going to explode. These people are sick. These people cannot handle the truth, and they are so worried that people are going to find this and then wake up to what's really going on, that they have to write this garbage. Look out, folks. What's going to get censored next? Now, we're going to go through some posts. This is a great post right here. This is from my friend Reincarnated. He says, Q calling him out. No more being coy. Hussein gave the order to start the spy campaign. It was logged officially 2 times. Once domestic, once foreign. And that's exactly what our favorite Anon says here. Asking the question, Fisk judge White House meetings? White House visitor logs are important. Hussein Library, classified doc move, attempt to shelter and protect. Who has authorization to obtain? The more you know. The president has the authorization to obtain. And maybe this is why the Obama Library is having such a hard time going in. Not just because of the people there that don't want it, don't want to waste the funds, which is clearly going to be just a giant money pit. But it's probably set up as a money laundering operation for the Obamas, and it's definitely set up as a classified document memory hole dump so that people will not be able to find these things, namely the domestic and the foreign order logged by the former president against then political candidate Donald Trump. This is a very bold post, and things are getting heated. To think that they are actually 100%, without question, calling out the former president. Don't even want to say his name. Another he who shall not be named. Next, we have a video that was embedded in the very next post. We're going to play the video, and then we're going to see what our favorite Anon had to say.
I want to do things. You know, I keep hearing about investigations, fatigue. Like almost from the time I announced I was going to run, they've been giving us this investigation fatigue. It's been a long time. They got nothing, 0. You know why? Because there is nothing. But they can play that game, but we can play it better. Because we have a thing called the United States Senate. And a lot of very questionable things were done between leaks of classified information and many other elements that should not have taken place. And all you're going to do is end up in back and forth and back and forth, and 2 years is going to go up, and we won't have done a thing. If that happens, then we're going to do the same thing, and government comes to a halt. There are many things we can get along on without a lot of trouble, that we agree very much with them and they agree with us. I would like to see bipartisanship. I'd like to see unity. And I think we have a very good chance of, and maybe not on everything, but I think we have a very good chance of seeing that.
If they start investigating you, that you can play that game and investigate
better than them.
Can you compartmentalize that?
And I think I know more than they know.
Can you compartmentalize that and still continue to work with them for the benefit of the rest of the country?
No.
Or are all bets off?
No. If they do that, then it's just all it is a warlike posture.
And so then wait a minute, then the follow-up then.
You heard my answer. Good.
Well, since it's Jim, I'll let it go.
I think I know more than they do. They wanted to push it. They brought these investigations to their own front door. And the president is going to keep his promises. Promises made, promises kept, just like he always has. Now, in the next post, it says, is there a benefit, think public optics, to allowing your enemy to open the front door? Warlike posture activated? Thank you for playing. President Trump just said that, warlike posture. He is not playing around, all right? He allowed them to do this so that they could bring the full weight and fury of the Senate and the entire government down upon themselves now. Because make no mistake about it, Trump is in control. And in what is some surprising news to some, ex-acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker is now leaving the Justice Department. Former acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker has left the Justice Department. Justice Department spokeswoman Carrie Kupek says Whitaker's last day was Saturday. Whitaker was replaced last month when William Barr was confirmed as Attorney General. He became a counselor in the Associate Attorney General's office. Whitaker was elevated to acting Attorney General in November after President Donald Trump ousted then Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Whitaker was chief of staff to Sessions, who angered the Republican president by recusing himself from the Russia investigation. Democrats criticized Whitaker for past negative comments about the special counsel's Russia probe. The House Judiciary Committee's chairman said Whitaker didn't offer clear responses about his communications with the White House when he testified last month. Whitaker agreed to return to clarify his testimony. The Los Angeles Times first reported Whitaker's departure, and we had a lot of people going crazy on Twitter today and on social media on the boards because they didn't like the fact that Whitaker had chosen to leave. Now, our favorite Anon responds right here and says, can someone explain this Whitaker, S-H-I-T? Q said he was going to take a new role in the Justice Department. Now quit suddenly? Our favorite Anon responds, you have a short memory, Anon. He did remain on, and in a senior role, as stated by the DOJ. Duration stated? No, there was no duration stated. Why are key positions always interchanging? Logical thinking by oneself clarifies easy-to-answer questions. Think about it, Anons. Yep. Then someone says remain, then go. But we really liked him, Q. Departure from the DOJ doesn't mean he's not on the team and still in the game, or, by our analogy, an actor in the movie. Then next, acting, temporary role, cause destruction, then move on. Hard to hit a moving target, Anon. Exactly. And our favorite Anon says Scaramucci model. Temp hire by design. Shadow to Sessions by design. Public will become aware with the document dump. Everything will be revealed soon enough. People just need to learn to have patience and trust the plan. Now from the Washington Examiner. AOC's chief of staff ran a $1 million slush fund by diverting campaign cash to his own companies. AOC, Alexandria Occasional Cortex, firmly embedded in the swamp. And to think, she came here under the pretense that she was going to change things. Nope, looks like business as usual, AOC. Two political action committees founded by Representative Alexandria Occasional Cortex's top aide funneled over $1 million in political donations into two of his own private companies, according to a complaint filed with the FEC on Monday. The cash transfers from the PACs, overseen by Saikat Chakrabarti, the freshman Socialist Democrats' chief of staff, run counter to her pledges to increase transparency and reduce the influence of dark money in politics. How ironic. Chakrabarti's companies appear to have been set up for the sole purpose of obscuring how the political donations were used. The arrangement skirted reporting requirements that may have violated the $5,000 limit on contributions from federal PACs to candidates, according to the complaint filed by the National Legal and Policy Center, a government watchdog group. Campaign finance attorneys describe the arrangements as really weird and an indication that there's something amiss. They said there's no way of telling where the political donations went, meaning they could have been pocketed or used by the company to pay for off-the-books campaign operations. PACs are required to disclose how and when funds are spent, including the expenditures such as advertisements, fundraising emails, donations to candidates, and payments for events and to vendors. The private companies to which Chakrabarti transferred the money from the PACs are not subject to those requirements. The complaint names Occasional Cortex, and Chakrabarti as respondents. If the FEC, The complaint names Occasional Cortex and Chakrabarti as respondents. It asks the FEC to investigate and audit the two PACs, saying they were engaged in an elaborate scheme to avoid proper disclosure of campaign expenditures. Tom Anderson, director of the National Legal and Policy Center's Government Integrity Project, said it appears Alexandria Occasional Cortex and her associates ran an off-the-books operation to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, thus violating the foundation of all campaign finance laws: transparency. Chakrabarti, 33, is a Harvard graduate, no surprise there, and technology entrepreneur who became an organizer for Bernie Sanders during the Socialists' 2016 presidential campaign. He founded a PAC called Brand New Congress in 2016 and another called Justice Democrats in 2017, with the stated goal of helping elect progressive candidates to Congress. One of those candidates was Occasional Cortex, who last November, age 29, became the youngest woman ever elected to Congress. According to the Brand New Congress website, the PAC would build a unified campaign infrastructure, including fundraising, organizing, rallies, and advertising progressive congressional candidates across the country could plug into, saving the individual campaign's time and money. Our idea is really to run a single unified presidential-style campaign that is going to look a lot like Bernie Sanders' campaign, said Chakrabarti in an interview with MSNBC's Rachel Maddow in 2016. The campaign infrastructure and fundraising is set aside from the campaigning. In 2016 and 2017, Chakrabarti's PAC raised about $3.3 million for the project, primarily from small donors. During this time, the committees transferred over $1 million to two shell companies controlled by Chakrabarti, with names similar to one of the PACs, Brand New Campaign, LLC, and Brand New Congress, LLC, according to federal election filings. Sounds to me like the names here were meant to obscure the direction of this money, because if you've got somebody just glazing over campaign finance information and they see Brand New Congress, then it's Brand New Congress. Oh, it's the PAC. No, wait, no, it's the LLC. Okay, so wow. Not only that, but it looks like earlier it was released that AOC's boyfriend was paid out of these PACs, and that right there, the amount of money that he was paid, in and of itself, is enough to break these campaign finance regulations. So, they wanted to go after Donald Trump for making a payment to his lawyer. I really want to see if they're going to be willing to go after Alexandria Occasional Cortex for funneling millions of dollars illegally with the help of her current chief of staff. Here we have a very interesting document. It is a full document, Trump motion to dismiss Russiagate case filed by the DNC. Let's go ahead and take a look. So, Democratic National Committee versus the Russian Federation. So, this motion to dismiss was filed by our friends at WL, and here we are. In this case, the Democratic National Committee seeks to litigate and explain away its candidate's defeat in the 2016 presidential election. The DNC thus alleges, unburdened by any actual facts, that President Trump's campaign conspired with Russia and a hodgepodge of others to publish materials stolen from the DNC's computer systems. But the DNC does not claim the campaign had any role in hacking its systems and stealing the materials. It attributes that only to Russia. Nor does the DNC claim the campaign played any part in publishing the stolen materials. It attributes that only to Russia and WL. Instead, the DNC predicates its claim against the campaign exclusively on allegations that 1. The campaign received advance notice of some disclosures, and 2. After disclosures occurred, the campaign made official political use of the revealed information and publicly encouraged additional disclosures. There are many problems with the DNC's politically motivated lawsuit. It threatens to unleash discovery that would interfere with the president's vast and important responsibilities, which require his undivided time and attention. It expressly challenges policy decisions the president has made, like the decision to withdraw troops from Syria, and it would inevitably collide with the various investigations and at least one pending prosecution related to alleged collusion between Russia and Americans during the 2016 campaign. Fortunately, the DNC's partisan effort to drag the court into a political thicket already occupied by Congress and Special Counsel Robert Mueller is legally meritless and so must be dismissed. For starters, even if the campaign had a role in publishing materials stolen by others, which the DNC does not claim, The First Amendment protects disclosures of public issues. This protection undoubtedly covers the disclosed materials which revealed, for instance, the DNC's questionable conduct during its presidential primaries, its correspondence with wealthy donors, and its cozy relationship with the media. The DNC's claims also fail on their own terms. First, the centerpiece of the Second Amended Complaint consists of claims that the campaign participated in an enterprise that violated the Racketeer Influenced Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, and conspired to violate RICO. But RICO claims are notoriously meritless, and the DNC's are no different. The DNC needs to allege an enterprise whose members pursued an unlawful common purpose by working closely together for an extended time. But it simply lumps together other defendants who pursued differing objectives, who were connected only by isolated interactions, and who did not even allegedly come together until well after the alleged misconduct began. The DNC needs to allege that the campaign played a role in directing the enterprise's affairs, but the most it claims is that the campaign cheered on others who were directing those affairs. The DNC needs to allege that the campaign itself committed criminal acts amounting to a pattern of racketeering. It attempts to satisfy this requirement by claiming that the campaign conspired to deal in trade secrets of the DNC, but it fails to come anywhere close to plausibly alleging any such conspiracy. The DNC needs to allege that the supposed RICO violations proximately caused injury to its business or property, but it instead alleges mostly non-economic and political injuries and fails to establish a single cognizable injury directly traceable to the alleged enterprise. Finally, the DNC needs to plausibly allege that the campaign agreed with the other defendants to violate RICO, but it does not even attempt to make this showing. Second, the DNC's claim under the Wiretap Act fails because it does not allege that the campaign had any role in intercepting in-progress communications or using intercepted communications. Third, the DNC's state law claims fare no better. Given the defects in the federal claims and the complex issues that the state claims raise, the court should not exercise supplemental jurisdiction. But even if the court kept the claims, and even if the First Amendment did not bar them, they would all require dismissal. The DNC invokes DC's Uniform Trade Secrets Act, but fails to plead that this case involves trade secrets. It alleges conspiracy to commit trespass to chatterals under Virginia law, but implicitly recognizes that the campaign had no role in Russia's obtaining of the DNC materials. And it asserts a claim under the Virginia Computer Crimes Act, but ignores that the act does not authorize aiding and abetting liability, and again, that the campaign was not involved in any hacking. Despite now having attempted 3 times to assert viable legal claims, the DNC still falls short. The court should dismiss all claims against the campaign with prejudice. Boom! Nothing happened. It's all fake. The DNC made it up. They are grasping at straws. And our friends here at the WL organization really brings it together. I'm not going to read this whole document because it's many pages, but I highly suggest that you follow the link in the description below and you go check it out yourself. And if you've got anybody who's still saying that the President Trump's campaign and this organization and the Russians acted in cohorts together to steal the DNC's information, just show them this document and it tears it to shreds. Next, my friend Todd Schneider on Twitter tagged me in this post and said that he had been hearing rumors of a major attack at Shorak Air Base in Afghanistan and wanted to know if anybody else had any information. Well, another friend of mine, Danielle Blumenthal, PhD, hi Dr. Danielle, posted this information from Afghanistan. It showed that there was an attack on a base. Apparently, 137 U.S. troops were slaughtered, including 15 pilots and 18 plane engineers, 19 total injured outside of those who were killed. There were also 260 Kabul admin troops, including 142 commandos that were killed and 73 others that were injured. This looks like a horrific attack. There's more information here from the Chans, and then more direct information on some of the individuals that lost their lives. So, a horrible, senseless attack, and this is very distressing considering the fact that we've apparently been in contact with people in this region to try to bring peace. So, it makes me think, Was it even the people that they say that it was, or is this some type of staged deep state FF? Next, another friend of mine on Twitter, it's Trump time, or at New Orleans Saints fan, put together this little post right here showing a tremendous dig that was done on Vote, having to do with much of the information that we've been talking about this entire time. And it puts it together as a new British invasion. Now, this person says, I know it's a long post, but when you start digging, you'll understand why. This is huge. Remember that bit about the two allies that didn't want the Pfizer released, and it's suspected that Britain is one of them? Definitely one of them. Well, here you go. There's a lot to unpack here, lots of ties, lots of big names that many will recognize. This is one heck of a web, and if anyone can get this onto Q Research or 8chan, all the more eyes to have on it, all the better. This is just too much for just a few, the more the better. So it goes through the British role in the coup to unseat Donald Trump. It brings a lot of different articles together. There is information about the so-called Bilderberg of the Levant, the Herzliya Conference, and then the UK's role in this shifting world order. There's several articles that are brought together here. The Integrity Initiative's foreign agents of influence invade the United States, how they are attempting to come here and regain a foothold in power and unseat the president. Now, this particular article here says the State Department's Global Engagement Center has refused to deny targeting American citizens with information warfare of its own, but we know they are. My old job at the State Department was as chief propagandist, confessed former Global Engagement Center Director Richard Stengel. It's not against propaganda. Every company does it, and they have it to do it their own population, and I don't necessarily think it's that awful. Well, some of us would disagree with you there, Richard. It also mentions how they accomplished the smear campaigns to take people out. The Smith-Richardson Foundation has old ties to the U.S. intelligence community, and this foundation needs more research to be done about it. Here's some information about the spycraft that is used to bombard us with propaganda. A major hub of Integrity Initiative influence is the State Department's Global Engagement Center, a de facto U.S. government propaganda operation. Under cover of Christmas, Obama establishes a controversial anti-propaganda agency. We talked about that before. The Integrity Initiative has also recruited one of the most infamous American PR men to organize its clusters of journalists and political figures. And remember, we just had all of those journalists that were just released from their positions, potentially as a result of the funding drying up from this initiative that Obama put out there. Right here, it is possibly to specify at least 60 organizations now dedicated to information psyops against the population of the United States. Definitely going to have this in the links below. And then here is some more specific articles. We've actually covered a couple of these before about the British intelligence fraud that created the coup against our president. And they quote our favorite Anon saying, "The choice will be yours to know." This is a lot of great information. The only reason I'm not going to go into it all in total is because I've covered a lot of it before, and specifically some of the articles in this dig. But I think that it's something that I'm going to piece together and do a couple of individual reports about because it is so lengthy. But in the meantime, I'm going to include this in the description below, and I suggest that everyone takes a look. And if you don't know it, you're being lied to. And finally, tonight, from the Daily Caller, an exclusive story. Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson had contact with the State Department official during the 2016 campaign. From the top, folks, from the top. Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson was in contact with a State Department official who had close contacts with dossier author Christopher Steele, according to emails recently obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation. The September 2016 emails show Simpson was desperate to make contact with Jonathan Weiner, a longtime associate of then Secretary of State John Kerry. Weiner has been confirmed as a source for an article published the following day. That article, written by journalist Michael Isikoff, was the first to publicize Steele's claims about Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. One of the co-founders of the opposition research firm that commissioned the Steele dossier was in contact with a State Department official in the days before a news article was published, laying out allegations contained in the salacious anti-Trump report. Emails obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation show that Glenn Simpson, an executive at Fusion GPS, contacted Anthony Weiner, who then served as state's special envoy for Libya, nonetheless, on September 19th and September 22nd, 2016. That was days ahead of the publication of a Yahoo News article that was the first story to cite information gathered by Christopher Steele, the former British spy who authored the dossier. Weiner, a longtime aide to former Secretary of State John Kerry, was a source for that article, which laid out Steele's allegations about Carter Page, a former Trump campaign advisor who would become the target of FBI surveillance. The emails do not mention the dossier or Steele, but they do show that Simpson was desperate to speak with Weiner, a Democratic attorney who also served in the State Department during the Clinton administration. Simpson, a former Wall Street Journal reporter, sent an email on September 19, 2016, asking Weiner if he was in town. For a couple hours, Weiner replied. Simpson contacted Weiner again on September 22, 2016, asking, "Can you ring ASAP?" "We'll try. Can this await 11 a.m.?" Weiner responded. "Not really, but it is quick," said Simpson. Here is the email from the FOIA. The emails do not indicate whether Simpson and Weiner spoke or met. Weiner did not respond to a request for comment, but a day after the final email exchange, Yahoo's Michael Isikoff reported that federal law enforcement agencies were investigating Page over possible contacts he had with two Kremlin insiders, Igor Sechin and Igor Devakin. Isikoff would reveal in a book published with co-author David Korn that Weiner vouched for Steele as part of his reporting for the September 23, 2016 article. Weiner was also a source for an article that Korn published on October 31, 2016 for Mother Jones that anonymously quoted Steele. It was not known until 2017 that Steele was a source for Isikoff. Prior to that, it was widely believed that Isikoff's report independently confirmed allegations made in the dossier. Page, an energy consultant, has long denied Steele's claims, saying that he has never met Sechin or Devakin. The FBI relied heavily on Steele's dossier in 4 Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrants against Page. Isikoff's article was also cited in the applications, though the FBI did not disclose that the report was based on information provided by Steele. Congressional investigators have looked into Weiner and the State Department's role in handling the Steele information and other intelligence used in the FBI investigation of the Trump campaign. Republicans have long been puzzled over information that flowed through Foggy Bottom prior to making its way to FBI investigators. Victoria Nuland, who served as Assistant Secretary of State for European and Eurasian Affairs, approved a July 5, 2016 meeting between FBI agent Michael Gaeta and Steele in Rome. Fusion GPS had hired Steele just weeks earlier to investigate President Donald Trump's possible ties to Russia. The ex-MI6 officer wrote his first of 17 dossier memos on June 20, 2016. That document alleged that the Kremlin had blackmail material on Trump. The new emails raised the possibility that Simpson made contact with Weiner as part of a Fusion GPS media outreach operation. Fusion was paid $1 million by the law firm for the Clinton campaign and the DNC to compile anti-Trump dirt and disseminate it to the press. Through Fusion, Steele met with Isikoff, Korn, and reporters from the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, and New Yorker. Swamp is thick in here. Weiner has publicly acknowledged his interactions with Steele, but he has not addressed his contacts with Simpson. In an opinion piece of the Washington Post on February 8, 2018, Weiner said he has known Steele since 2009, when Steele left MI6 to form his private intelligence firm, Orbis Business Intelligence. Steele provided Weiner with more than 100 reports based on intelligence he picked up on behalf of his private clients. Weiner shared many of those reports with other State Department officials, including Nuland and Kerry. Judicial Watch is representing the DCNF in a lawsuit seeking those reports from Steele and Weiner and Nuland's communications regarding the dossier. Weiner wrote that Steele told him about his Trump-related investigation in summer of 2016, and in September of 2016 the pair met in Washington, D.C. There, Steele showed Weiner memos from his dossier. Weiner prepared a 2-page summary of that information and shared it with others at State. Nuland told the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence on June 20, 2018, that Steele met with State Department officials in October 2016. Weiner also handled another dossier on Trump that matched up with some of the salacious claims made in Steele's report. Sidney Blumenthal, the Clinton crony, gave Weiner a dossier on Trump that had been compiled by his and fellow Clinton insider Cody Shearer. The so-called Shearer memo contains some of the same salacious allegations about Trump's activities in Moscow. Weiner has acknowledged that he gave the Shearer memo to Steele, who in turn provided it to the FBI. The State Department has previously declined comment on Weiner's activities. He is now a senior advisor at APCO Worldwide, a global public relations firm. Well, I thought it fitting to end with this because, as you can see, this is a vicious cycle. You've got the British, you've got the State Department, you've got the Clintons, you've got the Fusion GPS, you've got all of these organizations trading information back and forth in an effort to entrap President Trump, in order to incriminate him, and to try to take him down. This was a coup, they failed, and now it's time to pay the price. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, I am Red Pill 78, the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.